Okay, picture this. It's late at night, and literally the only light in your dark bedroom is the glow of your phone. Just 3 weeks ago, this exact same screen was a constant source of joy, right? I'm talking good morning texts, late night calls, those future plans that sounded strangely serious. They even remembered tiny details about your life. But then, suddenly, the messages just stop. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're going to dive really deep into the psychology of the silent fade. We're going to unpack exactly why this intense connection suddenly turns into confusing silence, and, much more importantly, what you can actually do about it. So let's just dive right in.
It's kind of the ultimate modern mystery, isn't it? Like, why on earth would someone work so hard to get close to you, only to completely disappear the second that closeness actually happens? Well, what's really fascinating and honestly crucial for us to understand today is that there are actually 4 distinct reasons for this behavior. And mistaking one reason for another, that is exactly what keeps so many of us emotionally trapped in this awful cycle of overthinking.
To ground this explainer, let's look at a pretty classic case study. Meet Maya and Daniel. I bet this pattern is going to sound painfully familiar. So Daniel was incredibly consistent at first. He called, he made actual plans, he told Maya she was special. And Maya, who is naturally a bit cautious, slowly started lowering her guard. Then, one night, she shared something deeply personal with him. It literally felt like the moment their connection became real. But the next day, absolute silence.
When Daniel finally did bother to respond, this is what he said. "Yeah, I'm fine. I've just been busy." Ugh, it's the classic vague excuse. Meanwhile, Maya is basically paralyzed with this heavy anxiety, right? She's obsessively replaying every single conversation, searching for the exact moment she ruined everything. But what if she didn't ruin anything at all? If you have ever been in Maya's shoes, you need to know you are absolutely not alone in this. Look at this survey data. A staggering 60% of respondents have experienced being ghosted while dating. That's more than half. I mean, modern dating gives us incredible access to people, sure, but it has drastically multiplied our opportunities for uncertainty and pain. And this brilliantly illustrates the massive contradiction of modern dating. In a really fascinating twist, 84% of Gen Z daters say they are actively looking for new ways to build emotional intimacy. Think about that. We are craving deeper, more honest connections. Yet, at the exact same time, people are ghosting more than ever. It's like so many people become incredibly uncomfortable the second that connection actually requires real vulnerability. So what's genuinely happening behind the scenes? Let's open the first door of our investigation.
Reason number 1, temporary interest.
Here's a hard truth. Sometimes their interest in you was entirely genuine, but it was only built for the short term. They weren't faking it. They really did enjoy the excitement, the attention, the whole possibility of something new. But you have to remember, the fantasy of the beginning requires absolutely zero responsibility. It's just fun discovery. But the decision to actually build a relationship, that requires time, communication, follow-through, and a lot of emotional capacity. Someone can be entirely sincere in the beginning and still be completely incapable of sustaining it when that fantasy shifts into real responsibility.
Let's open the second door. Reason 2, life overload. We definitely have to acknowledge that sometimes people pull away because external pressures, we're talking work, family drama, financial stress, or profound grief, they genuinely drain someone's communication energy. They aren't playing mind games, they're literally just surviving. But how do you tell the difference between someone who's just stressed out and someone who's actually leaving? It's all in the behavior. A person who is genuinely overwhelmed gives you context. They say, "Hey, I'm dealing with something heavy, it's not you." And they make an effort to reschedule. But a fader, they give vague excuses like things are crazy and just vanish. Listen, stress reduces availability, but it doesn't automatically erase basic human consideration. Which brings us to reason number 3, fear of intimacy. When a connection suddenly becomes emotionally significant, a person with avoidant tendencies might ironically feel this overwhelming instinct to create distance. The closeness itself is literally the trigger. Researchers actually have a name for this painful cycle. They call it the demand-withdraw pattern. It's this dynamic where one partner senses distance and asks for reassurance, right? But the other partner experiences that ask as pressure, causing them to withdraw even further. So one person is chasing clarity while the other is chasing space. It's an exhausting, endless loop. But wait, here is a massive reality check. Please, for your own sanity, do not play internet psychologist. You cannot diagnose someone with avoidant attachment just from a few delayed texts or checklists you saw online. And more importantly, psychological terms should never ever be used to excuse mistreatment.
The real issue isn't whether someone needs a little space, it's whether they can actually communicate that need responsibly without punishing you just for caring about them.
And that leads us to our final door. Reason 4, access without commitment.
This one's tough. This is an emotionally immature pattern where someone wants all the benefits of your attention, but absolutely none of the responsibility of a relationship. They don't want to get too close, but they also don't want to lose you completely. So what's their playbook? They disappear, they wait until you finally start moving on, and then boom, they send a breadcrumbing text. Hey, stranger, or I was just thinking about you. The exact moment you respond warmly, they get their confirmation that they still have access to you, and their effort instantly vanishes again. It's a trap. It completely forces you to focus on their potential rather than their harmful pattern.
You know, it turns out people who ghost aren't always completely uncaring monsters. Often, they genuinely think that disappearing avoids causing you a painful, direct rejection. But remember this, caring about you is not the same thing as communicating responsibly. Let me say that again. Missing you is not the same as choosing you. A person can care about you and still handle your emotions incredibly irresponsibly.
Okay, so how do we stop ruminating and actually take back control? It's time to talk about moving forward and finding your clarity. Going forward, I want you to use this 3-step checklist to measure a partner's actual capacity. Number 1, do they offer clarity when you ask what's happening? Number 2, is there consistency between their words and their actions? And number 3, honestly the most important one, do they attempt repair when they hurt or confuse you? Remember, a healthy relationship doesn't require perfection. Nobody is perfect, but it absolutely requires repair. Now, if you're stuck in the fade right this second, try using the 1-text strategy. Whatever you do, do not send 6 paragraphs of text. Do not put on your detective hat trying to uncover their hidden childhood wounds. Just send one calm, direct message stating that you need clear communication, ask if they still want to explore the connection, and then stop. Step back, let their actions or their continued silence be your final answer.
Let's bring this all the way back to Maya and Daniel. It took exactly 14 days. 14 days of absolute agonizing silence before Daniel finally texted Maya back. He apologized, admitted that things got intense, and said he got scared. He even told her he missed her.
For 2 entire weeks, Maya thought an explanation would cure her pain. But staring at his text on her screen, her whole perspective shifted. She stopped asking why he left, and she asked a much, much better question. What happens the next time closeness frightens him? Will he actually communicate, or will she spend the entire relationship just waiting for his next disappearance? We really have to stop measuring a relationship by how beautiful that beginning honeymoon phase felt, and start measuring it by what happens when things get real. Because real love, it's honest when things change, it is communicative when life inevitably gets difficult, and it is incredibly clear about whether you are wanted. Trust me, you do not need perfect closure to recognize a toxic, unhealthy pattern. So if someone is constantly keeping you confused, stop asking what their silence secretly means and start looking at what their pattern is clearly showing you. Clarity is not asking for too much. Never let someone else's inability to communicate make you feel like you are hard to love. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. But before you go, I want you to ask yourself a tough question. What silent pattern are you currently accepting that you finally need to walk away from? Think about it. I'll see you next time as we decode more of the patterns that shape our lives.